Welcome to Loot, Lore, and Lights, where we shine a beam into the darkest corners of cinematic terror. Tonight, we journey into the haunted asylum and discover Grave Encounters, a found footage gem that drags us deep into a realm governed by restless spirits and eerie uncertainty. In this review, we'll unearth the film's claustrophobic dread, dissect its raw portrayal of the paranormal, and explore how every creak and shadow whispers lost lore from the beyond. Prepare to confront the spectral secrets and flickering lights of madness that have redefined horror for a new generation. Let's step into the gloom where every story has a ghost. My name is Adam, and these recordings are all that we have now, a testament to the tales we've found, the worlds we've glimpsed, and the secrets that refuse to stay buried. Tune in while you can. The broadcast begins now. Hello and welcome everybody to the next episode of Loot, Lore, and Lights. As you just heard, tonight we are covering Grave Encounters. It is a horror movie in the found footage subgenre, which just so happens to be my favorite. It's written and directed by the Vicious Brothers. Speaking of Vicious Brothers, tonight I have a special guest. From the Full Moon Empty Road podcast, he is the host and creator.
Hey man, thanks for having me on.
Excellent. Yeah, and this is actually a movie that Jeremy, who is the creator of Full Moon Empty Road podcast, asked me about. Man, I want to say it was probably 5-6 years ago. You asked me if I had seen Grave Encounters when I was talking to you about found footage.
Yeah, I don't remember how long ago back it was, but yeah, it's been a few years.
I was like, man, I don't know if I've seen that or not. Went back and tried to watch it, or I don't want to say try, I did watch it, and it was something I'd seen and did enjoy at the time when it came out. It is a Canadian-based horror movie from 2011. The setting actually takes place in a fictional hospital out of, I believe it was Maryland.
Collingwood Manor, I think is what it was called, not Mantor.
The Collingwood Manor.
Or maybe it wasn't even Manor.
It might have been. I don't know. I can't fact check you on it because I didn't have that in my notes.
Yeah, the place it wasn't actually the Collingwood. They used a different name, and where they had it set up as a TV show kind of thing. They used a different name, and they went with Collingwood to, I don't know, just to hide the actual. I don't know where I'm going with that.
Yeah, it was filmed in British Columbia, though, I believe is what I had in my notes. And it was called the Riverview Hospital that was in British Columbia that they actually filmed it at.
So that's like the actual location.
Yep, that is the actual live location, not the one in Maryland that they claim it to be.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So this movie, it follows a team, and it is filmed in that mockumentary style of found footage, which is personally my favorite. And when the Vicious Brothers created, they said that they didn't understand why people didn't do a ghost hunter trope for found footage, because it was like the perfect reason of why, if all this shit's going down, why are they still recording? This would be why. And my question to you, and something that the people out there may not know, is that we actually had a small ghost hunting troupe that we were a part of called Spirits. Is why were you, Lance Preston, dressing in all black every time we ghost hunted, Jeremy?
I guess because they say black is very slimming, and I was kind of a tubby little fella. I said kind of like that's changed.
Yeah, that whenever I was watching this movie, and obviously it is completely mocking Ghost Adventures, right? Like, that guy's got to be Zach Bagans. Got to be.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, when we ghost hunted, Jeremy always wore all black, and he usually wore a black hat that had a pentagram on it.
Hey, that was a Full Metal Alchemist hat. I missed that thing. I don't know where it went.
All I know is that we had people in the friend group that you offended their family wearing that, so it might be best that it's gone.
I disagree. I really do miss it. That was definitely one of my favorites.
So, looking at this movie and the way that it was set up, it kind of is funny, and it, I guess, relating to it from a personal standpoint of how we would go out and try to do different ghost hunting. Like, I remember meeting with people similar to the way that they did before they started, and interviewing them and talking, hey, we're here to try and find out whatever yada yada, this place is haunted. We were trying so hard to be what these guys were in this movie, like on a more realistic level, And I think it's kind of I think one of the things that ticked me off about it is they brought in what everybody probably believes when you watch shows like this, is that it's all an elaborate hoax. It's all an elaborate lie. Like, what's your opinion on that?
My opinion on whether or not they're all just elaborate hoaxes or just full on lying.
I mean, more or less, like, your opinion from the movie. Like, what did you... Because, up till you get to really the point of... I think it's like when they talk to the groundskeepers the first time, they're like, here's $20, lie about it.
Javier Ortega.
Like, how do you feel about... Do you not think that that's a complete disrespect to, like, true ghost hunters, which is what we were wanting to be at that time?
Well, yeah, but at the same time, you can't tell me you've never watched a ghost hunting show and thought they paid this dude off.
I mean, yes, but that's the problem, right? Like, you want to be different. You want to be authentic. You want to be real.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I will say we personally never paid anybody off. And you know what? No one ever paid us to come check out any of their hauntings either.
It is very true. Maybe that's what we were messing up, is we were paying people to lie to make people want to pay us to come there.
Dude, I was working part-time at that time. There was no paying people to lie. If I paid somebody to lie, I wasn't eating that night.
And while we're talking about money and how, just in the fictional setting, they paid people to lie, but this film itself was only $120,000. That was the budget. That's how much it cost to make. Do you happen to know about how much it made at the box office?
Did it ever... So when you say at the box office, do you mean like in actual theaters?
Yeah, I guess I don't mean like technical theatrical releases. I guess just in general, like how much that movie ended up pulling.
So how much revenue it generated?
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't even speculate on it. Surely it made over 120, 9.4 million.
5.4 million.
5. Okay, that's still pretty. I wouldn't mind having 5.4 million.
That's a nice return on investment. Like, you put 120,000 out,
and then they put the second one out and it tanked.
It did, but it was, and they did spend a little bit more money on that one as well. I think that they did a good job with the first one. I feel like they made the CGI. It was cheap enough in this that it looked cheap, but it made it more entertaining. I think, like, what I'm more like specifically thinking about is like when you get close to the end and all the like hands are coming out of the walls. Like, definitely doesn't look real.
Okay, now and yeah, I get that. Now I will say, for it to be as low budget as it was, the monsters, I thought they were very well done. I was so I hadn't even heard of this movie, and a buddy of mine was like, "Hey, we're gonna, after work, we're gonna go watch a movie about it's called, ghost hunting and stuff. Since you're into that, and usually after work, me, him, and his wife would all pile up in their living room. We'd have some dinner and watch a movie, and he pitched this one to me, and I was like, I don't know, man, because like at the time, the only I guess knowledge I had of found footage movies would have been the Blair Witch Project, and I was just like, come on, dude, I don't want to do that. And I was impressed by it. I was like, that was actually well done. Like like when they first encounter one of the monsters and it turns and does that scream at them with that extended jaw. Oh man, that freaked me out. Not gonna lie, I thought it was very well done.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And Up, really, I mean, what you see going into that, you could, I don't want to say you could believe it's true footage, but I do think it's one of those things like if to a younger audience, especially who is a little bit more gripped with their imagination, they might believe that a lot of that is real. Maybe up until you get to the part of the hands coming out of the walls trying to grab you.
Well, you can't get over the hands, can you?
It was so bad. The hands were so bad, but everything else was so good.
I will say this: one of the best. I tell you what, let's do this instead. What was your favorite scene in the movie?
My favorite scene in the movie, man, I really like this is bad because it's not because it's a good part of the movie. It's not. But it's where that it's where Houston, the occult guy, gets strung up by the invisible entity and then gets thrown across the room because he just I wanted him to die. Why? What was your favorite part?
That. Exactly that. But not for those reasons.
What were
So
your reasons?
I Houston was honestly one of my favorite characters because
Really?
he was absolutely ridiculous. And you know, he his whole we gotta get out of here. I've got a what's the word? Audition tomorrow, and they're like, nobody cares, Houston. You know, everyone hated him because he was an over the top actor, but that's why I loved him, because he was so ridiculous. And I'm gonna say it, I think that scene where he is getting strangled and then thrown down the hallway, I thought he acted the shit out of that scene.
Well, let's be honest, he acted the shit out of the whole movie. He was so over the top.
But he was supposed to be. That was the point. You know, they brought in t- t- show me one ghost hunting show that you've watched where they've brought on a psychic that you've not sat there and went, this guy's out of his damn mind.
Okay, so there is, I want to say it might be on Netflix, and man, what am I thinking? It is the newest set of releases from Unsolved Mysteries, I think, on Netflix. And they actually talk about a medium who has latched himself onto a potential entity name's escaping me. I'm thinking Rebecca, but that might not be right. I'll highly suggest you go watch that. He actually was on with Barry from Taps, Ghost Hunter or Ghost. Yeah, that's Ghost Hunters, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he actually went and saw him, and first time being in Ireland like led him to a very highly active spot just using the entity that's attached to him, because they basically said this guy's full of crap or whatever. Anyway, I know that's not this movie. Go check out that. It's just a little episode. I want to say it's like 30, 40 minutes, and it talks about that. Really good. I'll have to send it to you later.
I was going to say you'll have to text it to me because I'm going to forget it.
Okay. But, so anyway, Houston, you're saying that was your favorite character in the movie?
Yeah, dude, I loved him.
He was so bad. You
He
know who my
was.
favorite one was?
Oh, let me see. Your favorite one in the whole movie. Is it of the core 4 actors? Or was there 5? There was.
Yeah, it's the main crew.
Okay. TC.
It was Matt.
Okay. I'm on board with that. I like Matt too.
Dude was ballsy as hell. Like, he was going in there and setting up these cameras by himself.
Yeah, before he realized the place was haunted, after they realized they were in trouble, he's like, can someone come with me to help me get the cameras? I'm not faulting the guy for it. I would have done the same thing.
But he went by himself and put them up, is all I'm saying.
He didn't think the place was haunted at the time.
Here's the biggest thing is, I'm going back to pulling from when we used to do different ghost hunting adventures of our own. I'm not saying that I'm not going to say I didn't ever experience anything that was kind of like paranormal like. because we have some stories and we could talk about that. But what I'm saying is, if you're in an area, you can feel the energy, good or bad. You can feel it pushing on you. You cannot tell me that that dude, when he was setting up all them cameras, didn't get some kind of like a thing on the back of his neck or something kind of freaking him out a little bit to the point where he's like, yeah, probably shouldn't be doing this alone.
So, based on that, I mean, if he didn't believe the place was haunted, he would have a logical explanation for every bit of it. And at the time, they were like, you think about it. Think about one of the earlier scenes in the movie, and Lance Preston's sitting there like, I don't know, messing with some equipment or tying a shoe or something. And Sasha asks him, "Hey, do you think we're gonna get any good, scares this time around?" He's like, "Oh yeah, hundreds." And she's like, "Maybe try not to be a little bit like." None of them believed this place was haunted. And he said it himself. This place is about as haunted as a sock drawer.
So when you're in an area or a place like that, especially something that's been abandoned for a while, there could potentially be something much more dangerous than ghosts there. There could be squatters. There could be other living beings in that building. And he was still walking around by himself, setting stuff up.
All right. I'm on board with you on that. I mean, what's to say he didn't come across like a maybe I don't know, a drug deal or something. And some people are just like trading something back and forth. They turn and see him and bap. Yeah, there definitely should have been nerves involved, but at the same time, they were interviewing the caretaker and the groundskeeper and all of that before they went in there. So they probably had already kind of gotten a walk through the place to know it was relatively empty.
Still love that I'm like, hey, Matt was my favorite character because he was so ballsy. And you're like, he was like, well, you guys come help me get the cameras down. It's killed me. Oh my God. Because that might be the short right there. Is you being, you guys gotta come help me.
I mean, that's what it was, Can you guys send one person? And of course, Lance is like, no, I need everybody down here. To do what? To sit? And I think it was his reasoning was, I need everyone down here in case Kenny comes back. You can send one other person with him. You don't need 5 people waiting on Kenny all at once. Just like, yep, we were all waiting on you, except for Matt. I think he's been possessed at this point because he's not come back. He could have sent somebody.
And all I know is like we had a buddy system when we did ours. Like if you were going into an unknown area, you always had a buddy because you never knew. You could fall and break an ankle and you don't want to be out there by yourself.
Look what happened to TC.
Exactly. Like that the buddy system should have been in place. Somebody should have stepped up and been like, hey, I sense you're a little worried. I don't care what this douche says. I'm going with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't understand why. No, well, that's not true. Everyone else is kind of on their every man for himself kind of thing. They're like, sucks to be you, Matt. Why don't you go get those cameras back?
They did. Oh, man. Yeah, I liked him, though.
So I take it Houston was your least favorite character?
Houston was my least favorite character, and that is with Lance Preston being... Is it blowing your mind? That's with Lance Preston being him. It's with Lance Preston being his obnoxious, arrogant self.
His Dollar General Zach Bagans.
Yes, that is exact. That's a good description of what he was. Hey, but he nailed that role though. The actor.
He did. He did.
And I can't think of his name, but he went by his real name in the second movie.
Sean Rogerson.
Okay.
Thank you. He and I know you weren't ever a big fan of the series Supernatural, but him and Houston, which fun fact here about Houston. Houston's name is Houston Gray in the show. The actor's name is Mackenzie Gray. But they were both on episodes of Supernatural.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not.
Sean, oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say it's not that I'm not a fan of Supernatural. I just have not really given it a chance.
Right, and that I guess I should have said that. Not necessarily a fan, just you never sat down and watched. I would recommend it. I absolutely would, especially the first 5 seasons.
That's a big commitment when you say go watch the first 5 seasons of something.
I think there were 15 in total.
Yikes. Yeah, maybe I will get to it, but it's not going to be today. So who was your least favorite character? If you know that mine was Houston now, and I reveled in his demise.
I think, like, if I had to rank my favorite characters up top to bottom, okay, well, I'll tell you what, I'll just answer that. TC was honestly my least favorite.
Go ahead and tell us why.
Okay. That's what I was waiting for. It's like, well, why is that? I don't, he was too confrontational. It was, he come on, dude. You're there to, like, you're trying to make a living here. Cut the tough guy shit. Just run the camera, do what you're here to do, and quit trying to look cool in front of everybody. He annoyed me.
I can see that. And he would probably be my second least favorite for those reasons. But Houston, man, he was just so bad.
Yeah, he was the bomb. The bomb diggity.
I think it was a stupid haircut, too. I was just like, I cannot get behind this guy.
Was it a stupid haircut or a stupid spray tan?
It could have been either one. They just combined to make the perfect 10. Like, one was the 1 and the other was the 0.
See, I don't get it, because, like, going back to, if I were to rank them, in a system, Houston would have definitely been at the top. And then second would have been Javier Ortega, the groundskeeper. And then third, I saw a ghost.
Hey, we can't do the accent on here because that'll be racist.
Did I do the accent, or was I starting?
No, but I was really worried that where that was headed.
So it was a scary.
Oh, canceled before I even began.
That's what I'm here for. You can just edit that out, right? Well,
I'm leaving it.
They may not cancel you. They may cancel me.
So, I guess we've talked about, our favorite character, least favorite character. Talked about, my favorite scene too with what happened. What was your least favorite scene in the movie?
Oh, that's kind of a tough. That's kind of a difficult answer to come up with, because this is literally one of my favorite movies. So that's a hard one to answer. I would have to think about that one and get back to you.
Well, think about it while I tell you mine. Mine was the bathtub scene. Because as soon as they're walking around giving interviews and they're like, yeah, this is where so-and-so killed themselves in a bathtub. I'm like, somebody's dying in the bathtub later. Like, it was so incredibly predictable that, honestly, I thought it was stupid too, just the way it happened. I was not a huge fan of it, and I was like, that's probably my least favorite scene, and that's factoring in all of Houston's bad acting.
No, his phenomenal acting to act so just poorly. Come on, you guys, come on now.
He's just not my cup of tea.
I guess not. I don't know. Maybe if he played somebody in Hell House, you'd be like, oh, this guy's great.
No, because there were people I didn't like in Hell House either. As much as I love that movie, there were people I did not like in that movie. We'll get on that later.
I get that.
That's not a part.
I will say, okay, since I can't really think of least favorite scene, funniest scene.
There was a ghost right there in that window.
Okay. I can raise you one.
Okay.
When they're all asleep in the lobby and their light fixture falls and smacks the ground, and TC wakes up and starts cussing Houston, and he's like, what? What did I do?
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that scene. That is a,
I mean, it was Houston getting verbal abuse, so you would have been like, I'm amazed
All
that
for it.
wasn't.
that
Oh
took
man.
second only to watching him get chunked across the room. Like he got yeeted by something we couldn't see. Just,
Oh man. Um, Actually, I will say one of my least favorite scenes. And that was when they were I had it and I've lost it. It was after the whole door slamming thing, and TC showing the footage back to him, and he's just getting more heightened and heightened because they're like, holy crap, he actually caught something, and he's just over there screaming at him, of course I did, I told you that, blah, I'm TC football, bitch. Whatever else he did. I don't know, I didn't like TC.
I can tell. Yeah,
He was he was no Houston.
Houston had a big enough time of his own, and the overacting part, I guess, shouldn't even be what like I say. I shouldn't say that's what I hated the most. I don't know what it was. I just didn't like that character because the like Lance Preston was overacted like hell too, but I appreciated his overacting because I was like, this is like you said, Dollar General Zach Bacon's like this guy's on point. He is nailing it.
And I thought Houston was nailing the ridiculous psychic shtick. I mean, come on. Spirits, lend us your power. And he's shut up, Houston.
Exactly. God, I loved it. Lance is one of those guys too, like, the camera rolls, the car goes through, and like, God, we got to reshoot. And he's like, I'm not doing that again.
Yeah, I'm not doing that again. No, we can just pick it back up here.
So I think if you have made it this far into this episode, you can probably tell we both thoroughly enjoy this movie. We both think the world of it. Obviously, Jeremy, it to you, like, I know you enjoy it and you would rate it pretty highly on found footage horror. Would you say this is like a must watch though?
Absolutely. I think it should be a part of your like yearly Halloween time repertoire.
And I do think that might be something I try and do this year throughout October. And I'm not going to say if we make it that far, but if we make it that far to having episodes, maybe I'm going to crank it up to where it's going to be like, I don't know, 2 quick episodes a week where we're talking about 2 different movies, like horror movies we watched. Because I'll have, Grave Encounters, obviously. I'll have Hell House, like, there's other ones out there too that, like, another one I'd recommend is The House October Built. If you haven't watched it, the first one is really good. Don't waste your time on the second one. It's utter trash. First one's really good.
See, when you first mentioned Hell House to me, and I was like, yeah, it was all right. That was what I was thinking of. The House is October Built.
Okay, so you have seen that one. So I thought the first one was good. The second one was utter trash, and it ruined the first one. But
I've never seen the second one, and it's been so long since I saw the first one that I honestly don't remember it. I just remember, I think it was on Netflix for the longest time, and I was in a horror binge, and was like, I'm gonna watch this. It's about, because it's kind of like Hell House, where it's a like a haunted house attraction. And,
well, it's a group going to find the most ultimate haunted house. So there's a bunch of different ones they go to.
Right.
There's another one in that same vein, and I want to say it's just called The Haunting. That's really good about a top secret haunted house, and of course clowns are involved because clowns are always freaking involved. But yeah, it's another pretty good one if you get a chance to check it out. I want to say it was named something else before, but like you might be able to find it on Prime or Tubi, and it'll be called The Haunting.
Okay.
Or The Haunt. It might be The Haunt.
That sounds closer, because The Haunting was a Liam Neeson, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Owen Wilson movie. I think it was loosely based on The Haunting of Hill House.
It was. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep. Sure enough. All right. So based on knowing what they found in grave encounters, and at the I can't remember what we said the name of the place was.
Collingwood.
Yeah. So if would you say that as someone who was doing ghost hunting at any time, did you experience anything, not obviously to that degree because you're alive and you made it out, and as far as we can tell you're not possessed. Others may say otherwise, but uh what is there anything that was super intense that like you still carry with you to this day that you can remember?
Not 100% sure on anything that I would have considered super intense. Like, there were things I definitely couldn't explain, but I was never put into a situation where I was afraid for my life or, felt like I was in immediate danger. Like, the first ever ghost hunt I did was at South Pittsburgh Hospital. And there was, they said there were shadow figures and stuff there. I never saw anything like that. The only weird thing I have is they had mentioned that the stairwell that goes up from the second floor to the third floor, the operating floor, we were doing an EVP session in there, and the next day when I'm going over the EVPs and stuff and just kind of listen to the digital recorders, it was there was a piano note in one of the EVPs, and that was one of our rules, was if you are leaving the room, that was because they provide a room for you to stay in, to like kind of get your bearings and everything before you head out and hunt. If you're gonna come out and do the investigation, you've got to leave your phone behind. So we all piled our phones up on the desk that was in there. So no one had a phone on them. And just in the middle of one of the EVPs was just bing. And to this day, I've got no clue. I can't explain it.
You said it was a hospital. Are you sure it was a piano and not like an elevator ding?
That's a good question. I don't know that their elevators were in operation there, but it's possible it could have been. But to me, it sounded too low pitched.
And I did mean that in a residual manner, like a residual haunt. I don't mean it like, do you think it was a live acting elevator? I just meant, do you think it could have picked up?
Right. And I was kind of covering both sides of that. Was it just a sound that stayed with the place, or was it someone moving through there? And to me, it wasn't high pitched enough.
So it's funny that you mentioned that you've never had an experience where you feared for your life or anything. And let me tell you, when you did, is we were at Hell's Bar Dam doing an investigation, and we were overlooking to where the foreman's office is at, and we distinctly saw a shadow move from left to right going towards the stairs. And you were like, keep your light over there, make sure nobody leaves. I'm going over there to check it out. And do you remember what happened when you walked into that office?
What? No. Oh my God. I think I blocked that out.
Let me refresh. So you walk in and you can see us, and you're like, do you see anybody? And we're like, no, we just see you. And we were like, what's down at the end? And you walked to the end and turned right to look in the locker, and the pigeon nest was in there.
With the bird in there. Yes. Oh my God. I do. Yes, I did fear for my life. I thought I was going to get killed by a bird.
Oh God, it was so hilarious. Yeah, it was so hilarious. And I think that's something that's going to stick with me. I'm going to remember that forever. It was perfect. I don't know if you remember, and I've still got the recording too, where we did catch a couple weird EVPs at Witch's Grave, where I want to say Gerald, who was on the episode last week for Monster Hunter, Gerald was actually doing an EVP session by the tree where this supposed witch was hanged. And there is a whisper in the background that clear as day says, "Let this be seen."
That's immediately what I started thinking of, that particular EVP. I absolutely remember that one. I think I have actually told that story here in the last year. The whole "let this be seen." But the thing is, I couldn't remember if it was at the witch's grave or if it was at that church that we can't name that we investigated.
I am almost 99% sure it was at Witch's Grave. It is possible it was at the church, but I'm almost 99% sure it was Witch's Grave.
It was, because now that hearing you tell the story, I do remember the whole thing. Do you remember the people that rolled up on us while we were at the Witch's Grave?
We had some fun encounters, not just Witch's Grave too, but we had an encounter with the police at Dead Children's Playground.
In fact, we almost got arrested that night.
Yeah,
that was fun. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and him being like, "It's not haunted." Go back to your car, and we're sitting here like, "Is there a way we can circle back and double back to get back in here?"
Do you remember Michael putting the camera in his face and asking him questions about it? And he was basically like, "Look, guys, at this point you're trespassing, and I can either take you to jail or I can tell you to leave, and you do just that and leave and go home." Yeah.
I do, because it was quite ballsy of Michael. Like, Michael just went full into like ghost hunter investigation mode. He's just like, "Well, have you seen any strange occurrences whenever you're out here doing your patrol?"
He's like, "I'm looking at 4 strange occurrences right now, and I get the hell out of here."
Oh man, there was more than 4, because Dave and Gerald were there too.
So there was 5 of us.
Yeah.
Do you remember the drive down to the Dead Children's Playground?
I do. I'm trying to think. Was it green lights?
Yes, it was. Yes, green light.
Yeah, because I remember it was like almost like a potential UFO sighting, right?
That is exactly what we thought, because it was off to our left. We were on 72, and I think we were right outside of Huntsville. And I think we had just gotten up to there was a clearing with some trees to our left, and we just saw that green light shoot in like a downward diagonal angle at the ground. And I think me and Dave were riding together, right?
That sounds right, yes. Because we had the walkie-talkies going between cars, right?
It wasn't even the walkie-talkies. Those were the CBs that Dad had.
Okay.
Yep. And you, Michael, and Gerald were in, I think, your car, I guess. And then me and Dave were in mine. Before, me and Dave were both like, "You just saw that, right?" And, I'm like, "Yeah, man." And then right as we had that conversation, one of y'all popped up and y'all were like, "Hey, did y'all just see that to our left?" Yeah.
And that really, I was hoping was going to be a really good night. And that place for a cemetery was just dead. Like, pun intended.
No pun intended? Okay, pun intended. What about the light post that was, I'd say 50 yards in?
You're going to refresh my memory, because I don't remember that.
So anywhere we walked in the Dead Children's Playground, we would mostly just get either a solid 0.01 reading on the EMF, or no reading at all. But there was one light pole, when we got within 5 feet of it, we were hitting 30, a reading of 30 and 32.
I don't remember really. That was so long ago.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. But I mean, I just remember we were just like, is this light post malfunctioning, or is there something gathered here?
Makes you want to go back.
I'm way too old for that. Dude, I can't even stay up past 11 anymore.
No, I feel that.
So, 1 out of 10, how would you rate the movie?
1 out of 10. How would I rate Grave Encounters? I would probably, if we're comparing this just within the horror genre, or are we comparing it to all movies?
Horror. Found footage.
Found footage, I would say it's a solid 8. If I was going to compare it to all movies, it wouldn't drop that far. I would go the IGN route, like they do everything, and give it a 7.
See, and I'm kind of surprised to hear that you would give it an 8, because I would have given it a 7, 7.5. And the only reason it's not rating higher is because Javier's only in 2 minutes of the movie.
To me,
they didn't give us a flashback.
They didn't, you're right, but it was such a deliciously executed poke fun at the genre and ghost hunting shows of that time. And they did it in such a way that made it to where it had believable scares. Like, this movie is scarier than Hell House LLC, which we talked about a couple episodes back. This movie is scarier. Like, make no mistake of that. It is. And because of that, I think that's what would make me rate it higher within the horror area. And because it is something that I had seen before, even whenever you were asking me about it, and I didn't think I'd watched it, and I went back and I was like, oh God, yeah, I do remember this movie. It's something you can watch, like you said, like this could be a staple for that Halloween month. And I don't think I'd get tired of it. It is a good premise. It's pretty nail on the head for what it's making fun of, and you can enjoy that and enjoy the horror aspects of it at the same time. And to me, that makes it it's a delight. It's a nice little movie.
It's a nice little movie. I agree. I like that. And especially the way it ends, with Lance trying to get out of the hospital. He's the last one left. Didn't he and Sasha fall asleep in the tunnels and he woke up and she was gone?
Yeah, so there's a mist that rolls in from one of the cameras, and you see the mist overtake both of them. I do think they both dozed off, but you kind of just get that hanging from the back security camera footage view. And as the mist fades, she's gone.
That's right. And then, with the ending of him walking through the tunnels, and he thinks he's finally made it out, and he ends up face to face with, I guess that was Dr. Friedkin.
Yes, that is exactly who it was. And, you get the delicious, it is a nice hors d'oeuvre that he eats right there at the end of the movie in all full glory.
Absolutely. And I will say, kind of a fun fact, by the way, and I meant to bring this up earlier. I liked how they used Dr. Friedkin as the name. Do you know why?
Why?
The director of The Exorcist was William Friedkin.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that is a nice little... man, I don't even know what you call it. I'm blanking on the word.
Homage?
Yeah, there we go. Nice little homage to The Exorcist, the OG horror movie.
Definitely the OG. I tell you what now, you need to do an episode on the exorcism of Emily Rose. And you need to have Gerald on that one. Dude, we watched that. It may have been right after high school that it came out. I don't remember when it came out. But I remember we rented it, and me, him, and Dave all just piled up in a room and watched it. Not on top of each other or anything, Not at first.
Don't tell your stories over here.
Once it got scary, there might have been some cuddling. But anyway, for a week or so afterwards, he was waking up at 3:00 every morning. He said he was just like, oh, that bitch Emily Rose is going to be attending my bed.
I love Gerald. Such a mess.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So I appreciate you guys listening in to Jeremy and I discuss grave encounters, as well as some of our personal encounters when it comes to found footage. This is going to be probably my longest episode to date. If you like what you hear, obviously, subscribe, share, follow, whatever it is. Leave me comments. Tell me what you want me to cover. Just looking at some of the comments from last week's episode, I love that you're suggesting My Little Pony, but I just don't think that fits for me. So I appreciate it and keep those suggestions coming, but that one's probably not in the future.
I kind of feel like your daughter made a fake account and left that comment.
So I've been joined tonight by the creator and host of Full Moon Empty Road. Jeremy, if you want to plug away your podcast, go for it.
Okay, so, my podcast, as he said, is Full Moon Empty Road. It's kind of on hiatus right now, but I've been working on getting back into podcasting. I've been short of time here lately. But if you want to, you can check me out on YouTube and Spotify. Just search Full Moon Empty Road. I have 3 different sections. I've got History and Hauntings, which is exactly what it says. I'll cover the history and the hauntings of a certain location within the U.S. and without the U.S., which there's only a few international episodes, mainly because I'm afraid I'm going to butcher, pronunciation of words. But aside from that, I've got another one that's another section called Dark Words, Dark Things, where I cover like cryptids or ghost ships and different things like that. And then I've got my Stories from the Road section, which is just me narrating creepypastas or having voice actors on and trying to do a full-on like reenactment of a story. And I call it Stories from the Road because the podcast is set up like a road trip, like we're actually getting in the car and driving out to the location that I'm talking about on the History and Hauntings. So yeah, check me out. You can look up Full Moon you can look up Full Moon Empty Road on all social media platforms. I'm there, and yeah, feel free to stop by.
Thank you for coming on. There will be other episodes I'm going to have to invite you back to. This has been enjoyable.
Oh, yeah, this was fun. This has been a long time coming, too.
Yeah, even from like my last podcast endeavor, we were trying to get you on and it just never worked out. But glad you could make it tonight. This was Loot, Lore, and Lights, or what was left of it. If you're hearing this, know that stories are the last fragments of our existence. Remnants scattered across games, books, movies, and shows. We don't know how much longer the signal will hold, but we'll keep searching for treasures, uncover lost lore, and chase the fading glow of lights. My name is Adam, and these recordings are all that we have now, a testament to the tales that we found, the worlds we've glimpsed, and the secrets that refuse to stay buried. Tune in while you can. The signal is weak, but the stories are strong. Take care.